Welcome to Vacuum Wars, and to our official review of the latest Narwal premium flagship, the Flow 2. We got a first look at this model when we attended CES earlier this year, and it has a range of upgrades, from aesthetics to intelligence. One of the most important changes is in the robot's visual system, which has access to a visual language model that theoretically gives the Flow 2 unlimited object recognition. This opens the door for a number of possibilities, like helping to find lost keys or other valuables, and scenario-based cleaning strategies. We bought one and put it through several tests over the last few weeks to see how the Flow 2 stacks up in the competitive premium robot vacuum market. In this review, we'll go over how this model performed in our independent tests and reveal at the end how it fared in our robot vacuum rankings. So, links are in the description, and let's get started. Starting with the basics. The Flow 2 sits at the top of the Narwal robot lineup, with the most premium features and automations that the brand has to offer. The Flow 2 has a new look as far as aesthetics go, with a big style change that includes an ambient light with 3 options for when the dock is standing by, and another light on the robot that changes color based on its status. Moving on to the pros. The headlining feature of the Flow 2 is that visual language model, or VLM system, which combines with dual HD cameras to allow the robot to identify a basically limitless number of objects. You can turn on a valuables protection feature in the app that'll let the robot identify things that may have fallen on the floor, like keys or wallets, and pin their location on the map. Scenario-based cleaning includes pet care and baby care modes, so the robot can decrease noise in a nursery or perform a more focused clean in pet zones. The system has an AI chip rated at 10 TOPS for faster data processing, and the system can detect objects as small as 0.2 inches or 5 millimeters. In our obstacle avoidance test, it did really well. Between our standard tests and our torture test, the Flow 2 scored above the average by avoiding 20 out of 24 obstacles. Navigation was another pro. It uses a combination of LiDAR and side-structured light sensors to map and route its path, and it has a really interesting way of routing itself. Narwal claims that this system enables the robot to clean the floor the same way a person might, and you can kind of see it doing that as it moves around, less in long rows and more in smaller zones with a lot of back and forth motions. It seems like this movement pattern would affect its navigation efficiency in a negative way, but the robot scored much higher than average in that test. It also finished vacuuming and mopping the studio floor plan in a much faster time than the average. On the whole, this was a smart robot, and it looks like Narwal's efforts here are paying off. With machine learning and a very powerful processor, it's also probable that it will improve even more as the technology matures. Another pro was that it was a good vacuum. The official suction rating is competitive at 31,000 pascals, and in our suction bench test, it was nearly double our average measurement. Airflow was also slightly above average in our airflow bench test. The vacuum did well in its main task of sweeping debris of various sizes from the surfaces of both hard floors and carpets without scattering or leaving any behind. In our carpet deep clean test, where we embed fine grit into medium pile carpet and then measure how much the robot is able to remove, it performed above the average by removing 84% of the sand. It also did very well in our flattened pet hair test, where we pressed 2.5-inch hairs onto carpets to see how well the robot is able to pick it up. The Flow 2 got a great score, well above the average. The main single brush has bristles to agitate the floor and a tapered anti-tangle design that sends hair and debris into the dustbin. The side brush is also designed to resist tangles and reverses direction in order to reach into corners. As far as tangles go, in our 7-inch hair test, the Flow 2 performed perfectly, with 0 hairs wrapped around the brush itself or around the axle. This is much better than the average of 26%. While the onboard dustbin itself is a little smaller than average, it's larger than a lot of the flagships that we've seen this year, so that is a hardware advantage for homes with a lot of pet hair or bulky debris. The mopping features are a pro, and they are pretty robust. This is a rolling track style mop pad, which continually refreshes itself with hot, clean water at 140 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 60 Celsius, a temperature upgrade over the original Flow. It also squeegees dirty water into an onboard dirty water tank, which is integrated into the robot's body. While the tank cannot be removed, it does have an agitator inside to prevent grime from building up. Mops that refresh themselves like this are very good for processing wet spills, because they collect liquid messes instead of spreading them around on the floor like traditional spinning pads or flat pads would. The track design is also an advantage because it gives the mop more surface contact with the floor than a cylinder roller. The mop is able to lift 10 millimeters so that the robot can clean a mixture of hard floors and carpets in a single run without getting carpets wet. It uses a downward pressure of 12 newtons and is able to extend to the side for cleaning along walls and furniture. The mop's actual performance was a little complicated, and we'll get to that in a few moments. Threshold crossing was a Pro. The official threshold limit for this robot is 40 millimeters for a tiered threshold and 30 millimeters for a single threshold. In our test, the Flow 2 was able to cross one threshold of 32 millimeters without any problems, and it was even able to cross a 38 millimeter threshold on the second try. We believe that the Flow 2 will be able to handle its standard single-tier limit of 30 millimeters with no problems. The base station for this robot is a really big pro. The dock washes the mop at 212 degrees Fahrenheit and dries it with warm air at 104 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 40 Celsius. And it now has an automatic detergent dispenser for refilling the robot's water tank. It has a very strong auto-empty suction that was able to empty the robot's dustbin completely, and it stores the debris in a 2.4-liter disposable dust bag. Narwal is supposed to introduce a reusable dust bag for the base station in the near future. The dock also dries and sanitizes the bag so that any moisture that gets in during cleaning will not cause mustiness or clogging. There are 3 light options on the base, including a fire color animation, a purple color animation, and a static nightlight. While the lights don't really have anything to do with the robot's performance, they are pleasant, but they can be disabled completely if needed. App features are a pro. The Narwal app has controls for scheduling, room customization, cleaning settings, no-go zones, and other robot control features. You can set the robot to vacuum carpets before it wets the mop for more dry protection, and you can set a carpet-intensive mode that makes the robot cover the carpet in 2 passes. The robot is Matter compatible and has an onboard voice assistant for commands. There are a few things about the app that we consider drawbacks, though, which brings us to the cons. While the app itself is feature-rich, it's not a favorite among users on Android or iOS. The Flow 2 is still a little young to have a large number of negative reviews, but the few we do see often cite mapping issues and difficulty getting the robot to connect. Since a brand's app is the control panel for everything the robot does, a buggy app can really hurt the user experience. Mopping performance in our tests was a con, but we do have a footnote on that, which we'll cover in a minute. The original Flow was very strong in our mopping tests, so we were a little surprised when the Flow 2 had some low numbers. In our dried-on stain test, it got a pretty low score of 68 points, compared to the average of 108. We tried it again with our new coffee-only test, but it didn't do any better there. It got a good water penalty score, which we look for because a mop that uses too much water is prone to streaking, but the Flow 2 hit right at the average in its combined mopping score as far as our official tests go. One of our writers is currently using the Flow 2 in her home, and she reports that there was a significant firmware update when she got it from the studio. She used the Flow 2 in her kitchen where she had some dried stains, and she was really happy with the way it looked afterward. We don't know whether the firmware patched an existing issue or if the informal home environment was just not as challenging as our studio tests. But in any case, our real-life experience of it was much better than the test results suggested, so you can take that into account. In spite of some of its drawbacks, the Flow 2 was able to land a spot on our top 20 robot vacuums list. Its intelligence upgrades are truly innovative, and it's going to be interesting to see how this tech matures and where Narwal is going to go next. You can find this and all of our current favorite models on our top 20 robot vacuum list on our website. Don't forget to subscribe to Vacuum Wars before you go. Thanks for watching. Vacuum Wars independently tests new vacuums year-round, and the links in the description are updated regularly to reflect our latest top picks across multiple categories. You'll also find detailed rankings on the Vacuum Wars website, including our top 20 robot vacuums, top cordless vacuums, and more. Every review here is unsponsored, just honest results. Subscribe so you never miss one, and tap the next video to keep watching.